All right, hey, welcome back. We are battling with sun. We're gonna be high and tight right here.
Lean in, lean out.
Yep. But we're back at Sledder Cast here, season 2, at Heydays, North Branch, Minnesota.
It's the official start to winter. I heard.
It is the official. Hey, it got a little cold today.
It was
a little
chilly.
chill in the air.
Yep.
It's back to hot though. And so it's a great time for a podcast.
It's amazing to be sitting out here, dude. The sun's starting to set. The swamps are going to start firing. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just about to come alive. We can feel it. Before we get into things, I got a question for you. Attention spans nowadays are there's such a small window, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone is trying to capture eyeballs. And so we're going to publish this episode. You're going to see it on, you're probably watching, some sort of hit on Instagram somewhere. But what is that thing that you can tell the person who's swiping right now?
Right.
That's going to get them to stop and say, oh, I actually want to watch this entire episode.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I like to just live my life where it's like brain off, balls on.
Yeah.
It's just like you get yourself so nervous. You get to that point where it's just like, you just have to shut your brain off to get over that next step. And I feel like that's what I try and do, with my career, with my family, whenever I get put into a situation where it's like, it's now or never or make or break. Like, it's brain off, balls on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it because you can totally psych yourself out and shut yourself down, right? Like if you are thinking too much about it,
you start stepping on your own feet and then you start backpedaling. And I mean, when I get into those situations, it's like I only have one option, and that is to commit and to move forward. You know? There's no half-assed.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Awesome. I mean, I guess if I were to say anything, you are wearing a Deviant Ink sweatshirt right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we may get into that later on in the episode.
Yeah, I picked up a fresh shirt when I was at the booth.
We gave you a good deal on it. So let's get into things. Brett, you've done a few podcasts, throughout your career. Really enjoyed the podcast you did with 509.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Kind of dissected that one to kind of prep for this interview. Didn't really want to, ask a lot of the same questions, so I hope we do a good job and kind of mix things up a little bit.
100%.
But just at the beginning, like I think I remember, like 2003.
Yeah,
you
2003
got your first
was my
contract, like professional contract, right?
My first professional contract, 2003. I was a kid, dude. I was like 13.
13.
Yeah.
Almost 21 years ago, right?
It's a trip, eh?
How did you get started at 13 years old? Like, how did you position yourself in a way to where you were able to get a professional contract at 13 years old?
Honestly, man, I just grew up having fun, and whatever was fun for me, my dad and I were doing it. And, it's funny because I go back to this story all the time where I was in hockey and I was a young kid. I was 10, 11 years old. My brother was 8 or 9. He was a goalie on our team, and I was defense. And, I just would go in and clean the crease out, get kicked out of the games, and multi-game suspensions. And finally, my dad, pulled me to the side, and he's like, you either get serious about playing clean hockey, or you're going to get pulled from the team and you're coming with me riding on the weekends. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you can come snowmobiling with me and I'll teach you how to ride. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do that. So my mom would take my younger brother to the rink and my dad and I would go snowmobiling. Yeah. And that's how I grew up from, the first time I was on snowmobiles was say 5 years old.
Yeah.
But I guess that was kind of the turning point where
a little bit of divide and conquer from the parents.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. My brother went off to be an excellent hockey player, and I went on to be a pretty all right snowmobiler.
Pretty decent snowmobiler,
yeah. So I guess that's kind of where it started. And then I always raced motocross as a kid. So from the time that I was 7, even till current, I'm still. What was that? We
just got buzzed by something. I don't know if you guys picked that up, but
I seen the shadow come over. So I've spent a lot of time in the industry, and to be able to, I guess, kind of reflect back and see where it all started, and racing motocross, and then just kind of transferring over. I found out about this sport called snowcross, and I got to borrow a sled for one race, and I went out and I won. And then the next year, my dad bought me my own sled, and we went to all the races in our area, and I was winning.
Did that tick a lot of people off?
I think it did.
Like this dude just shows up and just pulls places.
Right. You know, and I was at that time, like the junior classes, there was 3 different classes, and it went from fan-cooled sleds to liquid-cooled sleds to, you know, they called it senior junior, which is like you could be up to 16. Like I would go in and I would sweep those classes all on one fan-cooled sled. You know, and then I had a really successful year the first year that I raced, and the following year, another rider that my dad had sponsored suggested that we went out to Beausejour, Manitoba, and do this national race. I'm like, hell yeah, that'd be fun. And so we drove 20-something hours in the truck and got to this race, and it was an experience, man. It was crazy. I went there not knowing what to expect, and same thing, swept all my junior classes, was doing all the biggest jumps on the track, and had an awesome weekend. And it just happened to be that at the time, it was an off weekend for the national series in the States, and the Blair Morgan Racing Team manager lives near Beausejour, and he was just kind of there chilling, watching, and I guess I was a standout of the day to him, and he came over and gave me his card and invited me to come check the shop out, and that next summer was when I signed my first contract.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It all happened so fast.
Yeah, it did. Sounds like, you know, kind of right place, right time, but it seems like the trajectory that you were on, it was just a matter of time before
that time
dots
and
were going to
place.
connect. Yeah.
100%. You know, like I was pretty dominant in my class at that age. And it's funny to like think, you know, like this 12-year-old kid, but it's just like, it didn't matter what series we went to, what racetrack or what type of surface we were on. Like I was able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that carries, you know, those things I learned as a 12-year-old carry through to my riding day to day now. So yeah, pretty cool to have that.
So fast forward a few years, and we're talking Slednecks. Was it Slednecks 11?
Slednecks 11 was my first appearance.
Your first appearance, which would have been
2008.
So you're like 5 years after you. So you're 8.
Yeah, I was 18 at the time.
Wow, just a young bred.
2008. That was actually my first year I got an X Games medal. I got a silver medal at the Winter X Games in snowcross.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That was a really gnarly one because that year there was 4 of us racing pro class. Myself, Ian Hayden, Garth Kaufman, and Blair Morgan. And none of those 3 made the main. I was the only Blair Morgan racer to make the main, and it was my pro rookie year. And I got a good gate pick and got out to a decent start, and kind of just like smashed to pass my way towards the front. And I think my final pass for second was with DJ Ekstrom or one of the Amsoil guys, anyways. And got by and got into second with half a race to go, and the sickest part about that whole deal was Blair was on my pit board, so he was the one communicating to me on the track, like what kind of gap I had. Tucker was long gone. I mean, Tucker was out doing Tucker's things.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was really a race for second. And, you know, I got into a good pace, and I felt comfortable, and just like I say, a young kid, you know, we're at Aspen, we're at 9,500 feet of elevation, and I was in good shape, and that race came so easy to me.
Wow.
And then that's when the medals started to come out. And I was like, oh shoot, dude, 2008, I've got a snowcross silver medal. So it's really cool that, you know, of all my X Games accomplishments, I do have one from racing still.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so then that spring, I took one of my practice sleds and got invited out from the Slednecks crew out of Whistler to go and film with them. And as a kid, I grew up watching those movies, and I just like aspired to be, you know, Jay Quinlan and Garth Kaufman and Chris Brandt and, you know, all those dudes that I looked up to. I was now in the same film as them, and that was, you know, that was accomplishment in its own. And yeah, much like the rest of my career, kind of just started snowballing.
In that season 11, were you one of the youngest guys on the mountain?
Yeah, I think that I was one of the youngest guys in there for sure. I filmed like a co-segment with Corey Davis, and him and I think we're only like a few months apart or something.
Yeah.
So very similar age.
For someone who maybe was super young, Slednecks 11, can't recall what those videos were like.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference? Like now when you go out and film content.
Right.
Versus back then, Sledneck days doing content. What's the what was the different?
It was
How did it look different?
It was definitely a different era. I mean, you know, nowadays we're seeing a lot of deep snow content and maybe softer landing type snow conditions. You know, the cliff drops have always been done midwinter, but you know, as far as like the big jumps and stuff go, you know, we were doing them late season back in the day because we're using snowcross race sleds in the backcountry. So we needed the, you know, the firm snow, and we needed to be able to get around on only like 10 gallons of fuel. You know what I mean? Like, so it was different in the sense that, you know, we didn't really know what the limit was of our snowmobiles, but we were certainly trying to push it, and it wasn't always in favorable conditions.
Yeah.
You know, like when you stepped off, it just friggin' hurt because it was hard snow, and it was like that era. You could almost be a little bit more patient with the content you're creating too, because if you're filming a video part, that video doesn't come out until the next fall. And so you can have a little bit of leeway on days here and there, you know, if the weather doesn't want to cooperate or you know, just you're not feeling it that day. Like there'd be times where we would leave a feature and come back to it the next day and not have that pressure of like, oh, we needed to get this shot for this sponsor to have up by tomorrow. Yeah. You know, it was long form content, and you kind of looked at it that way. Nowadays, when I'm going out filming and I'm doing social media, whether it's my, you know, my own YouTube or a sponsor fulfillment, it just seems like everything is just like now, and you're just constantly trying to just like re-up your best last post, or
ride, produce, you know, try and look at the metrics, see what went well, what didn't.
Yeah, and it's
ride,
like,
produce.
At a certain point, you almost feel like you start chasing the dragon a little bit, like. You know, you got this carrot out in front of you, and it's dangling, and you're just trying to come up with the next best thing. And because everything is so rapid fire now, it also helps me push myself or to get more creative with ideas that maybe would take me a couple months to wrap my head around. Yeah,
it kind of forces you. Yeah.
I'll see something that someone else has done, and I'll be like, oh, I could put my own little tweak on it by doing it like this, and the outcome might look like that. That would be really rad. And so the next ride that I go out, I get to try that. Whereas back in the Slednecks days, a film would come out a full season after it was filmed. You didn't know what people were up to or what the new thing was, you know?
For sure. That's huge.
Yeah. So it was...
Even just like playback, like
100%.
You go film something. Nowadays, like they can throw it in a Dropbox or just, toss it to you on your phone, and you can see it almost instantly.
Super fast.
Back then,
I wouldn't even be able to really get to see my segments until they were out on DVD.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, way different.
Nowadays, it's like you hop on. Nowadays, you can like hop on a Teams meeting, do a screen share, and be like, here's your segment. You know, should we run this clip long, or do you want it cut short?
Yeah.
Should we speed ramp it? Should we do that? Like you can almost co-produce just over the computer.
Oh,
now.
Yeah. We're still on this 20 plus years of being in the sport.
Yeah.
If you could go back and maybe change a decision or experience, you could replay it and do it over again.
Yeah.
Within the industry, what would that be?
I probably would have started backflipping sooner.
Oh.
Honestly, I got to a point in my professional snowcross career where I was one of the guys, but I wasn't the guy. I was right in that like top 5 bubble.
Yeah.
And I was right on that edge of like, was it worth the small salary in the winter to go chase winning earnings? Or do I find something else to do and just like film segments and have fun? When I actually made the decision to go strictly free riding, everyone around me was losing their minds over the decision that I had made. You know, they're like, but you've done this, and you guys have invested, and you've done that, and like your whole life you just work towards the snowcross thing, and you're right there. Just keep going. And you know, I feel like maybe I'd kind of just like lost a bit of the go.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I just want to free ride and have fun and make film segments. But I honestly wish that I had done that sooner, because I even missed the sweet spot of, you know, snowmobile freestyle at X Games. I was just on the tail end of it. I didn't get to like sink my teeth into the meat of it.
Yeah.
You know? So if there was one thing that I could maybe change, it would be like, well, maybe I should have, you know, made this decision a little sooner, but still like forever thankful for the for the career and the life that I've been able to have.
Yeah.
You know, based on that.
Well, I mean, speaking of backflips, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you the first to pull a backflip on a
Yeah,
timber
it was the first ever snow bike
on a snow
backflip.
bike?
Yeah, and it was on a Yeti at the time.
Yeah.
Full length, dude. Yeah, 129.
Wow.
With a bone stock KX 450 with a Pro Circuit slip-on exhaust. So I did that, and I kind of like checked that one off, you know?
Yep.
And I was like, I honestly didn't even really snow bike much after that.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to be
Just
the
went
first
there
guy
and
to
did
flip it.
Oh, so how many of the early snow bike backcountry guys were like, you dog?
Yeah, Regan was pissed, dude. Yeah, Regan C. I know that he always wanted to try it.
I actually think we had Brock Hoyer on last winter.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned something like that dog. He just came in and
Yeah.
does a backflip and
I like
and
stepped
they-
in, stepped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to keep it rolling a little bit with the timber sled thing. You know, I'd go to X Games and race some snowcross on it, but I was so invested in my freestyle career at that point that the racing thing was just another event to be a part of and give my sponsors some value.
Yeah.
It wasn't my forte by any means.
Yeah.
But then they introduced Snowbike Best Trick and Snowbike, it was Snowbike Best Trick. And I got into that, and I got a gold medal in there and a silver medal in there. So,
Yeah. Nice.
but we were heavily modifying our snow bikes. We would take the tracks, cut them down to like 90 inches. Like it was pretty much a dirt bike wheel.
Yeah.
You know, it just looked like a track on the back.
Uh-huh.
So-
Nice. So what like in from your point of view, what's been, you know, the biggest change within the industry? Because within the snowmobiling industry that you've seen over the last 20 years.
You know, I think that probably one of the biggest ones that I'm seeing now or even feeling now is, you know, there's a pretty thick blurred line between, you know, what people are now calling a professional versus an ambassador or, you know, an affiliate.
Yeah.
Before it was pretty cut and dry, black and white. It was like, you know, if you're a pro, you've done this, you've accomplished this, and you've earned that. Nowadays, you can, you know, as an ambassador or an affiliate of a brand, you can bring yourself to that top tier pretty easily and kind of sit in that blurred line a little bit. You know? Which I could see has like its pros and its cons. You know, honestly, coming from my side of it as you know, an established brand in the industry.
Yeah.
I can see the benefit, you know, for these companies to have these ambassadors that are they're just bringing everything they got to the top, you know, and you know, they get given an inch and they'll spread a mile.
Yeah.
You know, where I have to almost be a little bit more picky and cautious with the brands that I work with, so I don't like dilute my outreach, and you know, I get, you know, a million stickers put on the side of my snowmobile. Like in a perfect world, I'd have 4 title sponsors and keep everyone, you know, on an equal playing field. But that's not really the game that we're in now. So, you know, there's affiliate programs and ambassadors, and you know, I think it's really great to see the industry evolve in that way. It gives people something to shoot for, you know.
Yeah.
You can be, you know, if you're really good on social media and you're an okay snowmobiler, but you can get the angles and you can get the light right and you're creative,
Yep.
that might earn you a free set of skis or a free wrap, you know? Whereas back in the day, it was like, okay, let's see your results and see if you're worthy of getting on the program.
Yep.
If you get on the program, this is what we could do for you. Yeah, I'm brutally honest that I'm really happy that I got through my career before the whole social media wave kicked in. You know, even now I still feel like I'm playing catch up on the content creator kind of side of things, but I'm kind of like right in the sweet spot where I'm just kind of rolling with it.
All right, guys and gals, Trail is one of our newest program supporters here at the Sledder Cast podcast. You can find them at trail.com. They are coming in hot with all of the goodies, all the backcountry essentials. A few of our favorite must-haves are the Grizzly folding saw with razor sharp teeth that plow through those pesky branches with ease. Also the lightweight ski pole strap, a real back saver when your buddy needs that 7th pole of the day. And of course, the Trail Hot Pot exhaust cooker, because hot meals are way better than cold meals in the backcountry. So head on over to trail.com, that's TREYL.com, grab your exclusive SledderCast promo code in the description below. Let's get back to the show. Well, from the sidelines, you know, where our perspective is I think you've done a pretty good job of at least the consistency.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of guys will shut down, you know, during the summer,
Totally.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of their time to regroup. And you seem to kind of keep a pretty steady pace throughout the year, you know?
Yeah, I try to, you know, and I try and mix in a bit of moto, a bit of family, a bit of like fishing and outdoors. I mean, as much as my outreach is snowmobiling, I like to just be thought of more of just like an outdoor enthusiast,
Yeah.
you know? Like I just love being outside.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, whether that's fishing with my family or hunting or, you know, lately we've been going to the golf course a whole bunch. And
You have, indeed.
you know, racing motocross with my daughter. The funny part about a lot of that is my 3 biggest videos on my YouTube channel this year have been my daughter racing motocross.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Right?
I'm like, you know, as much as I don't want to be like, hey Hudson, like we need to go make some videos today. It's like, well, there's obviously some sort of catch there.
Yeah.
And it's working. So,
Yeah.
you know, my wife's away racing motocross with her this weekend. I'm here at Heydays, and they're at home racing bikes. So, you know, she's catching content, and I'll come home from this trip, and I'll go home and sit on the computer for a day or two and edit and hammer through that and, you know, and throw it up. And, yeah, it's cool to see that.
It's a family affair for sure in the Turcotte residence.
Yeah. You know, like somebody referred me the other day as like, oh, you're kind of like another version of the Deegans. And I'm like, yeah, kind of, you know, like a little bit. But, you know, it's cool to see that my fans or the people that follow me are also interested in seeing the family side of things and like, you know, how I help my daughter race and how my wife is, you know, capable of just hooking on the fifth wheel and going to a race without me even being there. You know, it's really interesting to see the feedback.
Yeah. So, we're down in Idaho, big hunters down there.
Yeah.
And I know you like to tangle in the old elk woods.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, call it the elk woods. Yeah.
We'll call it the elk woods. You got any? Well, now that you have this, that kind of puts a little damper on some things, right?
It does a little bit, definitely. I mean, yeah, we're right on the edge of our season being opener, and yeah, I'm moving around a little slow right now with the broken foot, but. You know, I'm still going to get out there. I got a Polaris Ranger at the house, crew cab, and it'll get me to where I need to go, and then I can kind of crutch into some ridges and go and bugle and call and try and get an answer. And hopefully maybe I can try and make a play. But yeah, not going to be spending as much time running around in the woods.
Roaming around, yeah. Do you mostly do rifle or you do any archery?
Mostly rifle. So our rifle starts on the 10th of September.
Wow, that's early.
Yeah, so it's nice. I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to bow hunt our elk, really, because the bow hunt season starts on the 1st. You know, but most times even when we're rifle hunting them, I'm calling them to bow range anyways.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun.
That's true. So speaking of the leg, I mean, this will be, so we'll publish this. This will go live in late October or 1st November.
Yeah.
So you'll be like what, about 6 weeks, maybe
I'll be rated that 6-week window.
6-week window.
Yeah.
And this is a 6 to 8 week,
yeah,
6 to 9 week?
6 or 9 week healing process on the fibula. So I gave myself a bit of a spiral fracture down my fibula.
Yep.
And they went in there and they hammered 8 screws into it. They got 1 anchor screw going through the fibula into the tibia, and that's holding everything tight because I had a little bit of ankle dislocation initially. So there was a big gap between the bottom of my tibia and my talus. And so then with that anchor screw going through the fibula, it pulls the talus in tighter to the bottom of the tibia and locks it all together. Like there's this cluster of screws in the bottom of the plate, and then there's a massive one that goes through one bone, through the gap, and then into the next bone.
Wow.
Yeah,
dude, you're talking to a dude who hasn't broken a single bone.
Yeah.
In his entire life. So
I'm lucky now. I got one on the left leg and I got one in the right leg. I got the almost exact same injury.
It's just a matter. Yeah, you just gotta
in the right.
You gotta get the matching hardware in there.
Yeah,
so.
now I'm well balanced.
Yeah. There we go. You're still a little black and blue.
Yeah, I'm a little bruised up.
And you know, I shot you a text. I'm like, hey, just making sure we're still good on the podcast. Here's kind of the outline, and you're like, I just broke my ankle. Yeah. I don't know if I'm coming out to Heydays now. We may have to do it, you know, at a later date, and then, some strings were pulled, and now you're here.
Yeah.
So-
Honestly, I was, you know, I had surgery Monday, and you know, just for call it week-wise, you know, I had Monday, and I had a 20-hour drive home to get my kids to their first day of school for the year. And Nikki and I drove our asses off and made it back home. Got in there at
Sheesh.
about 8 o'clock, and the kids were off to school at 9:30. And through that drive, you know, I was making the texts, making the calls. You know, there's a list of guys that were expecting me to be at Heydays, and you know, I'm like, hey, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can make it. And I texted Chad at Backwoods, and he's like, hold on, I'm about to board a plane, but hear me out. And this is like as I'm pulling into my driveway after a 20-hour drive, and he sends me this massive spread about, you know, just how much it would mean to him and the entire industry, and you know, like you can't do Heydays without having Brett Turcotte there, and you know, that one struck me emotionally. I teared up for a bit, and like I was reading it to my wife, and I could hardly hold it together, you know, and
what a guy.
yeah, just hearing it from an industry
getting it
peer,
an outside,
hearing it from an industry peer like that, and you know, he's like, you know, we need you out here. Not that we need you to be out here, but like the entire world needs you to be out here. And you know, I'm glad that I made the decision and got the help from Backwoods BMP to be out here.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna just go sit at home and you know, probably go to the motocross track and watch my daughter race and then lay
Which wouldn't be a
super
bad
low.
wouldn't be a bad alternative option, right?
Not a bad alternative for sure, you know, but there's nothing worse than, you know, racing through the phone. But my wife's got a good handle on it, and you know, I'm really honored to just be able to be here. I was really questioning whether or not how good my ankle was going to feel, and luckily it feels good. So
that's good, man. Well, good. We got kind of a last segment here. I thought this would be kind of interesting. We kind of hinted at the Deviant Ink sweatshirt that you're wearing. You're new to our world.
Fresh guy.
You're a fresh guy. You are fresh.
I'm the green hat, dude.
Yeah, you're greeny here at Deviant Ink. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of maybe talk through, you know, someone at your caliber, what it looks like, what it takes to build up and, you know, present themselves in a way to where you're able to have conversations like this with yourself.
Yep.
And ultimately, you know, to get someone to make a decision, you know, to just change things up, you know, with kind of the norm. So
Yep.
I've got our perspective, and I'd be happy to share that. It's kind of funny.
Dude, send it out there.
I guess I can kick it off with that.
I can follow it up.
So you can follow it up, but you know, obviously, a company in the industry, right? It's super competitive. Industry's somewhat small, right? Relatively small. You know, we have a board. We have a board of people that, you know, we would love to partner with, you know. We would love to help them grow in the industry as well as they help us grow in the industry.
Yep.
Right? And so, of course, like, your name is on that board. And it's been on that board for a while, right? You kind of have to, you know, pick and choose and make sure you've done kind of your homework and you're doing the right things as a business so that you don't look like a fool.
Right.
Or a bozo, right? When you
just open up and expose yourself. And
So we're on a sled trip in the winter, and we're driving. We got a decent drive, and we're like, "Is it time?" We're like, "It's time. It's time." So we pull up the old Instagram. We're like, "There's no way he's gonna respond to us," but at least we
made an effort.
At least we made an effort. And maybe I can find his email somewhere, and we can follow up down the road, you know?
Yep.
And we shoot this message off. You know, we reread it. We wanted to just make sure it was just perfect, right? Really, it was about 5 minutes. We're like, okay, let's do it. We're standing this. And we're like, should we do it? Should we do it? Yeah, we're doing it. So we send it. And you know, on Instagram, I think you can see like seen, and then you can even see like if someone's like messaging back.
Yeah, there'll be a bubble.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lo and behold, Brett Turcotte, like within like 3 minutes, we're like, holy crap, he's responding to us. He's probably telling us to get lost.
Get out of here.
Get out of here, kids.
Beat it.
Right? And, you know, you had a pretty respectable reply to us, you know, very professional. It wasn't a yes, like obviously, wasn't a no, right? Which was like, okay, like we got some room here that we can maybe work with.
Yep.
And that's kind of how we left it for a while.
Yeah, I feel like it got left undelivered. Like, I mean, I read it and then it just kind of got left undelivered there for a while.
Yeah. And it wasn't until like, you know, we're just across the mountains from Jackson Hole Hill Climbs.
Yep.
And being at this event, right? And the last Jackson Hole Hill Climbs, I'm just like, we were sitting up top. It was the run you made where you jumped the top cat track over the fence, right, over the fence, and you go backwards and you bail off the sled. Like we were literally like we had just pulled up to the top, and we just walked off, and we were right there.
No way.
And we were filming, and I'm like, that guy, that guy. This is a sign right here.
Right.
And you know, and what impressed me the most is 2 hours later, everyone else on that mountain is going back, relaxing, eating, you know, whatever they're doing. You're on the freestyle track, just banging it out.
Yeah.
Right?
In the rain. Gnarly storm.
Yep.
Yeah, that was Saturday at Jackson's always a massive day for me.
I'm like, this guy is just like golfs, hunts, does all the snowmobiling stuff, has a family.
Yeah.
Like this is a dude who, like, if I could like mold or build the perfect like individual that I would want to work with as the owner of a company.
Yep.
Like this is a dude that I would like love to be around and work with, you know?
Appreciate that a lot, honestly. I appreciate that a ton.
And so that just stuck in my mind, and we kind of picked things back up.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
Yeah, and then I mean, you know, from my perspective is like, you know, this industry is really small, and you know, I remember the message coming out, and I don't exactly remember the wording on the reply back, but you're right. It was kind of like, hey man, like, yeah, I'd be interested in checking this out, and you know, I know who you guys are, and I'm you know, kind of familiar with the way things work, and yeah, I mean, I guess as far as, you know, me kind of having my hands or fingers in everything is, you know, I try and just have the most fun possible doing whatever it is that I'm doing at the time, and that's always kind of been my motto a little bit, is like, if it's not scaring me, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
That's where it comes back to Jackson. You know, it was one of my qualifying runs. I had a lot of guys in my class that were really fast, and I had to absolutely send it to make it into finals.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wheelied out the top, and I got up onto the island.
I'm going to overlay that video right on this episode. We'll overlay that video because I was filming.
I see it.
Whoa!
I got up onto the rear idler wheels, and I seen a chunk of snow up in front of me that was gonna, you know, if I let off, that thing was gonna buck me up over the bars.
Yep.
And send me face first into that wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, intuition kicked in, and I just held it wide, kept it on the rear wheels, and then I slapped off the wall and jumped across the road.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's kind of how I treat everything in life. Is like, it's either all or nothing, you know. And you know, I've lost some X Games medals living my life that way, and I've you know, I've learned the hard way in lots of other things, but I also just try not to leave anything on the table.
Yeah. Keep things spicy. Keep it interesting.
Yeah, and so then when you guys approach me, I'm like, oh, this is a pretty wicked opportunity to, you know, kind of maybe just re-up my brand and to, you know, kind of have a fresh look and you know, have a fresh start with a company where it's, you know, you guys are open to my suggestions, and you know, you're all ears, and you know, I told you the places in my career where I feel like I'm maybe struggling a little bit, and immediately that was a reach out from you guys, be like, oh no, we can help, you know, we can reconstruct this, and we can do this for you, and you know, and SEO, and like all of those things bring so much value to my entire program that it's more than just like stickers on a snowmobile.
Yeah.
You know, but to see that value outside of the stickers on a snowmobile is, you know, that meant a lot to me, and you know, that was one of the one of the main factors where I was like, you know what, this is a good move for me, and you know, the look is good, and you know, the quality of the product is amazing, and just to be able to have a sort of bundled package together where I can tick a bunch of boxes off, you know, that really helped make me make the decision with you know, with my wife, and you know, this is a partnership that I share with her. So anytime that I have these opportunities, her and I go back and forth on it. And we're like, well, no, maybe we should ask this, or we should change that. And you know, with this deal, it was pretty straightforward. I was just like, no, this is what I need from a brand, and this is what I can return. And you know, obviously, my brand carries beyond just snowmobiling, and so then, you know, being able to look at me as like like I said earlier, like an outdoor enthusiast is like, there's publicity 365.
Yep.
You know, it's not just
during a certain time of year.
Yeah, it's not December till April.
Yep.
So.
Well, we do have some things that are coming up, and by the time this goes live, we've probably already released you know, just a little teaser. We're trying to figure out what that teaser is going to be, but I think we'll dial it in here in the next couple days. But signature wrap, of course, we'll start working on that.
Yeah, that's got to be in
soon.
the works here soon.
Yeah.
I got some snowmobiles coming, so
we've got a pretty good idea.
Working on the signature wrap. We talked about it before, like a nice clean factory look with a little bit of spark in it. And I'm excited to get that thing out on the snow.
Hey guys and gals, if you love the show and want to support us, head on over to deviantink.com. Use the code SledderCast, save some money on your next premium custom wrap. If you've spent any time on deviantink.com, you already know it is the best, easiest custom wrap builder tool out there. With its new interactive design tools, makes designing and customizing wraps super slick. We're big fans of the new color mixer tool. It randomizes colors until you land on the perfect combo. A design mixer tool is a game changer when you already know what colors you want and you want to see all of our designs in just your pre-selected colors. So head on over to deviantink.com, use the code SledderCast, save some money on your next wrap purchase. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, so hopefully, ideally, when we publish this podcast, we're also dropping the signature wrap too at the same time. So I don't know if I just signed ourselves up for something.
Yeah, you just set yourself up.
We just set ourselves up, didn't we?
Now you got an end date goal.
We do. So there we go. I like it. Well, we end every episode with 2 questions. Yeah. The same 2 questions. Everyone gets these 2 questions. The first one is, you have a brand new snowmobile. So what do you have coming again? Remind me.
I got a 9R 155 Chaos and a Boost 155 Chaos.
Okay. We did a 9R this morning with Kyle Saxton, so let's go Boost.
Okay.
Let's go Boost. Let's take your Boost, okay?
Yep.
Straight stock from the manufacturer. What are the 3 things, if you only got 3 things, modifications that you could make to that machine, what would they be? Wrap doesn't count.
Outside of a wrap?
Yep.
Ooh. Well, I mean, number 1, I would go put a set of Turcotte handlebars from CFR on there. I'd clutch it with some Ibex clutching. And then I would protect it, make it stronger with backwoods bumpers, rail braces, wheels, subframes.
Yep.
I just pretty much gave away my entire sled build for the year. Yeah, those are the 3 main things. Make it more responsive, make it stronger and more durable.
Yep.
And put the control in my hands.
Yep. Yeah. Love it. Love it. We accumulate all of these answers throughout the season to this question, and at the end we kind of come out with like the top 5.
Oh, nice.
You know, most sought after or requested aftermarket mods from people on the show. So
perfect.
The last question is the secret. Okay, this is the secret. For those who are watching this episode, what is something that they do not know yet about Brett Turcotte, and we are laying it out right now. Ooh, what we got?
I created an obsession with gas station wolf print T-shirts in the middle of my career.
Gas station wolf.
Yeah, so it's like you got to imagine these tie-dye looking T-shirts,
like Yellowstone, West Yellowstone, looking
kind
T-shirts.
Of, but they're like these. I think the company's called The Mountain. You'll have to look them up.
Okay.
But they're these like tie-dye splashy looking shirts.
Yes.
And they've got like this majestic picture of a wolf howling at the moon, or some of them are glow in the dark. It's like, you see them at all the truck stops.
Yep.
So like the...
I can visualize
you know the
this
spot.
now.
You know what I'm talking about. So I created an obsession with those T-shirts, and I gathered a collection. And when I first started winning X Games medals, it was a shirt that I bought on my way down to Aspen, and I wore it during Speed and Style that night, and I won a bronze medal. And I brought it back the next year, and I won a silver medal in snowmobile best trick. And then I brought it back the next year, and I won double golds. And so this shirt has gained like 8 X Games medals. This like silly looking wolf shirt that I wear every time that I go to the X Games. I don't think that there's
Where's
been
the
a
shirt?
year.
Where is it at now?
It only comes out just for X Games.
Oh, so that's secret right there.
That's the secret right there. The last 8 X Games medals that I've got, or sorry, last 7 X Games medals that I've got, I was wearing that shirt.
Is this something I can Google? Like
Yeah,
Brett
you could
Turcotte
probably
wolf
find
shirt and see what
there's
happens?
a photo of me kicking around somewhere with 2 gold medals around my neck with the shirt on.
Oh, I'm gonna find that.
Yeah, it's out
We'll
there.
throw it in here. Yeah, we'll do it.
So that's probably like one of the more secretive things. You know, it's a small tight circle that know about the wolf shirt.
Know about the wolf shirt. So when we see you wearing that, we know you mean business.
Yeah, that's when it's balls on, brain off.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, it's getting it's getting
About
there.
getting rowdy out here, dude.
It is.
I can hear the band, the sun setting.
I can't tell where it's coming from with these headphones, but it sounds like it's like right here in our ears.
I know. I'm about to get in my golf cart and go film a swap meet scene here. I think.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Cool. Well, Brett, we appreciate you taking some time. You've got your own booth set up there. You're slinging some merch. And
yeah, actually, you guys printed a bunch of my merch for this weekend.
Yeah, we did.
So we got the limited edition Heydays ones. I'm hoping to blow through them tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if not, I think we'll have to just throw them up on the website and blow them out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, when you said you possibly weren't going to be here, we were like, hey, Chet.
What am I doing with all these shirts?
We got to sell these shirts for Brett, man. Because these are Heydays, limited editions here.
Exactly. And they look dope, and I feel amazing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked on them.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Well, there'll be plenty more of that stuff. So, all right. Well, we'll get healed up here, and hopefully you have a good rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be good, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Brett.
All right. Cheers.